don't know about you guys, but killing kids, not a fan.
No.
Not a fan of it. What do you think, Callum? You thinking a bit?
I'll come out against.
Okay,
Yeah.
brave take, because it turns out if you go onto a website like twitter.com, what instead you find is that there are dozens and dozens and dozens of communists who are in big favor of killing children as long as they are the children of rich people that they don't like.
Right.
Because it's nice to get a reminder of the people that we're fighting against a lot of the time, because it really does remind you all of this ideology, all of this saying, oh, we just care about the working person. To us, it's clear and obvious because we've all been covering it for so long. It's just BS. It's just nonsense. They don't care about anything like that. But it's nice to get a reminder from the horse's mouth, really, that these people are just deformed, hideous freaks that hate you for the fact that you're more successful than them and probably also more mentally stable than them. Hence why they're happy to kill children or support killing children. I did have something to promote on the website first. John, if you could just get that link up for me, please.
You're just promoting the Romanov family.
I mean, look at them. They were such a Chad family in that picture. I'm sorry. It's tragic. But, Anyway, so we've got new videos on the website, as we always do. This one being Contemplations 133, which I was doing with Josh, where we were talking about Carl Schmitt's friend-enemy distinction. And at the end of it, we gave a quick rundown of who we think are friends politically and enemies politically. And communists did not come up on the positive side there. On with the news, though. So this was just something I thought would be interesting to cover because somebody posted this the other.
Fantastic colouring.
It is really fantastic colouring. So this is a famous photo of the Tsar Nicholas Romanov, the royal family of Russia, shortly before they were all murdered by Bolsheviks in 1918. And this post was put up just the other day. It's been taken down now for some reason. If I go over, this is what it comes up with now. This tweet violated the Twitter rules. So it's not that this person deleted it himself, it's that it violated some rules. So let's read this tweet. So here's a picture of the Romanov family, and it says, on this night, 105 years ago, the ugly, deformed Bolshevik freaks cruelly slaughtered the holy Russian monarch and his family. They made the children suffer a slow death and then pillaged their corpses for jewels. This is all factually true so far. Never forget, never forgive this disgusting subhuman savagery. Is it because they said subhuman? Do you reckon that's
No,
why?
I think it's because of the parentheses there. People who don't know, if you do 3 parentheses around something, it usually means you're actually saying it's the Jews. And so that's what I think is going on there, presumably.
That might be what happens. Sadly, there is some truth to this because the person who led the murder was Jewish, but you don't have to
attribute a Zionist revolution.
You don't have to attribute that to the Jews as a whole. This got a lot of likes and a lot of attention because, as stated, it was about 105 years to the date because it was July 17th, 1918 when this was done. You know plenty of Russian history. Would you like to fill people in on the context?
What do you mean about the Russian Revolution? Or
just a bit, for anybody who may or may not know.
Okay. Russians joined the war. They sucked ass.
Yes.
Got beaten the hell out of, and then they decided, I don't like starving. Maybe we should get rid of the system we currently have. They did. There was a democratic revolution, and then democracy was installed. There was a free election. The Bolsheviks lost, so they chimped out and overthrew the democratic system, put themselves in charge, fought a civil war where they murdered millions of people who just disagreed with them politically. Nice. And then they got the family and murdered them all so that they could never take power again.
At the time, it was pretty much commonplace for, if you were deposing a royal family, to exile them, send them to somewhere where they weren't going to come back.
The Bolsheviks decided to kill them all.
Well, sadly, the Romanovs himself, Nicholas, was pleading and begging some of his cousins and some of the other royal families across Europe, particularly King George V in England, who was his first cousin and basically looked the spitting image of him. It's quite shocking when you see the side-by-side of them together, and was rejected because they were all worried about the negative feelings towards monarchy at the time spreading throughout Europe because of things like the Bolshevik Revolution. So decided, I'm going to screw over my own family member and leave them to whatever happens. And apparently a lot of them felt very guilty about what happened afterwards. It's a tragic event.
To be fair, there was actually a real good hope that the whites would win the Civil War. I mean, we sent them loads of aid, and we also invaded parts of Russia to help them.
It seemed that the whites potentially being the victors, in the Bolsheviks' eyes, there was a chance that they could lose, and so that's why they killed the Romanovs.
Sure, just from the British perspective, it wasn't just screw that guy. Like, we actually wanted them to win. We sent them loads of
Yes.
tanks, which are really expensive for that time, obviously.
In hindsight, though, it is tragic and harrowing.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this goes out, and you have, like I say, the tweet goes down. So thank you very much, Elon. Great free speech. Thank you for that one. And then somebody puts here, important context. For any communists in the comments, by the way, he was not just some evil slavery monarch where he's just going, haha, whipping the people as he went through on a horse and carriage.
Imperial Russia compared to the Soviet Union is in heaven by comparison.
Absolutely, it is. And he just points out the royal family had already abdicated power to an interim transitional government. The Bolsheviks forcibly took control, etc., etc. They were slaughtered after surrendering. And also another bit of context for everybody was that his own grandfather, because a load of people go, Russia was a serf state. No. In the 1850s, the serfs had been emancipated by his grandfather.
It was fairly late, to be fair.
Yeah, in comparison to everybody else.
But it's Russia.
So Russia was late to the party with everything in that respect. And then you get people coming out of the woodwork. Now, this is one of the more tame versions of what I'm about to demonstrate, which is that somebody just comes out and goes, well, actually, it had a lot of the bad things that characterized the Soviet Union, plus some more. There were more famines. It wasn't very industrialized for such a big nation. These aren't even necessarily
like the famine
things by themselves.
That's easy to do. Yes, they were more common, but they were not killing as many people, even in total. Never mind in incident.
Oh, and it didn't have an 8-hour work limit. The trade unions hadn't been to work yet, so okay.
1850. What?
Yep.
We didn't have an 8-hour work limit. What are you talking about?
Women's rights were minimal.
They were everywhere.
And on top of that, there was serfdom, which there was not.
Well, they abolished it after a while. So, yeah, they were late again. I mean, that's true. But
so a lot of this was lies. And also, I like the response of the original poster, just saying, everything you list except the famines are good. No industrial revolution, no women's rights. I get to have my own plot of land that I just have to have under a lord. Excellent. This is heaven to me. This is what this person is saying.
Sorry, as well. I did that piece of S at the bottom there being like, yeah, they stopped the famines, not including the Holodomor.
Yeah, including the most devastating famine.
That's a side one, but no, they didn't stop the famines. Technology stopped the famines. Everyone in Europe was starving until we had the technological revolution. It's just, again, just ignoring history. It's like, oh yeah, politics stopped the famine. No, growing more food stopped the famine.
Communists don't know history, and they don't care about history because the only history that they want is
their history.
Yeah, is the history that makes it so that they're on the right side of history in every world event that's ever happened. Oh, bugger, I just closed that link. Crap. John, get that link back up for me. Thank you. And then you get these people. To safeguard the revolution, yes, we murdered children.
Oh, it's just there's no humanity with these people.
No, these are the sorts of people. Once again, if they can justify it to themselves, they will kill your children with glee. They will do it with a big smile on their face. And the only thing they need is not an actual reason. They don't need to logically have a reason. They just need to justify their own seething resentment for you and your own. It's a nice reminder.
I'll tell you what, I've watched debates with communists where they would say abhorrent things like, yeah, but where are the bodies? And things like that. And you're like,
we have them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just insane.
We did this thing where we
logic.
exhumed mass graves. There were what else do we need?
Show me the bodies. Yeah, no.
Oh, I've got one in my pocket right now.
Oh,
Here you go. Is that what you're expecting? Christ.
Terrible.
These people.
Terrible.
105 years and still crying about it. Well, I don't think it's good to forget that. I mean, these are the sorts of people that would never want you to forget, the Confederates. So I could just turn around and go, 150 years, still crying about slavery, are you? God, boo-hoo, get over it. And to a certain extent, that's more justified because this is actually murdering children.
But also, this actually had an impact even to this day. I mean, you murdered the royal family. There is no real way to bring back the Romanovs now because of this act.
I believe the Romanov family...
There are a lot of monarchists in Russia to this day, and they're pretty pissed off about that.
I remember that there are quite a few... There was a large family of Romanovs, so there were other aristocrats and nobles, but the Bolsheviks, after they killed the Romanov royal family, went around and started to purge them as well.
Yeah, no one really has like a proper legitimacy claim anymore, which sucks.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard that a while back that maybe in the mid-2000s, Putin was even talking about rehabilitating the monarchy somewhat.
Yeah, everyone does every so often.
Oh, okay.
Because it's actually a really cool idea.
Well, yeah,
That's all. Like, everyone knows it's a good idea, but it's just like, yeah, but we don't have one.
who doesn't want to be able to, gather in the streets and celebrate as your rightful king marches through the streets in glorious carriage and such? That's just cool. That's just something that's nice.
We
This
mentioned
was something we like about England.
we've mentioned to you, but I don't know if you've got your eyes on the Polish election. Some exciting things are happening.
Oh yeah.
Confederation.
No, I don't actually.
So Corbyn Mickey runs the party, I believe.
Okay.
Or he's the front of it, and he's very much for bringing back the Polish monarchy, which
Oh,
obviously
wow,
has been
okay.
elected monarchy, so they could do it. And
Interesting.
they're polling now about 20% in the parliament, so
Okay.
that's pretty good.
Yeah,
And
that's all right.
when Carl asked him, so who would you make king? And he just said, he will reveal himself.
That's right. I'm here. I will be king.
Yeah, but it's such a monarchist answer. It's actually kind of true as well. So,
Let's hope they don't adopt like climate alarmism like ours and like
well, no, it would be an elected monarchy. So,
Yeah, yeah.
through
proper.
the aristocrats instead of being,
That's
And
yeah.
Well,
Polish
are the
accent.
aristocrats
Yeah.
taking offers for like somebody who might want to be king?
I mean, if you can save the Polish nation, then sure.
You can be part of the Privy Council if you'd like.
All right.
There you
I'll
go.
be happy to live in Poland.
Sorted. Nice. Then we've got Goofy Meme from a very goofy person. All of these people, hammer and sickles, in the bio, in the name. And what have we got?
Marxist and anti-liberal democracy.
Freedom of assembly for workers and peasants is not worth a farthing when the best buildings belong to the bourgeoisie. So what that means is you have more than I do. Through no fault of me or you just have more than I do. Probably because I'm actually quite lazy and spend all of my day posting about how much of a communist I am. Therefore, your stuff is my stuff.
The liberal democracy point being quite... I can't hammer it enough. People forget this part of the Russian Revolution. They just think the Bolsheviks rose up and then there was a civil war. It's like, no, there was a democratic revolution. They had a free and fair election and the Bolsheviks just lost. So then they started a war. Literally just, we lost the election. All right, screw it then.
Well, that wasn't democratic enough for us then.
They were unpopular.
We'll show you what democracy looks like through the barrel of a gun, was their answer to everything. And it still is their answer to everything. Then you've got people saying, shut the F up, monarchist. I'm sorry, you're a cringe socialist, unironically posting based Lenin memes. Wow. No.
Yes, I am a child murderer. What of it?
Yep. And
okay.
It's just
weird. All of this is in regards to a situation where a bunch of freakish, disgusting Bolsheviks murdered children. And they went out of their way to murder children as well, because they shot all of the royal family and some of the girls were still alive. So they stabbed them and beat them until they were dead. It's awful. It's horrible. And all of these people are going like, but for the revolution, it was worth it, which just tells you what these people would be willing to do if they were in any sort of position to do so. And also if stepping outside didn't cause them to have a nervous breakdown. That was a good thing, says Reach Heaven Through Violence, another person who's not seen the outside in years. Stuff like ending monarchical dynasties is why people like communism. Now, I think you just said that there's still lots of monarchists in Russia.
Yeah, a lot of them.
A lot of them. It's probably a reason why people hate communism. Also, ugly, deformed. Here's where we get the Reddit talk. My guy. My guy. If you loudly announce that you're a Nazi, it's only going to make more people want to be commies. Lamau. Okay,
no Nazis.
Cringe.
This guy might be anti-Semitic, but he's probably not a Nazi. He's probably just some kind of monarchist.
Yeah, I mean, once again, who is defending murdering children in here? We've got a trans communist.
Of course.
Always a fun one. Where
Disabled trans
just
communists.
posting a fictionalized recreation.
Yeah, worth more, you say.
In the trading cards, yes.
I shot an iPhone. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for stupid memes.
Yeah, but still posting a fictionalized reenactment of the murder of a bunch of children. Keep it classy, guys. And then somebody just pointed out that the murder of the Romanov family was so absurdly evil that the Soviets themselves spent years denying it, which is true. They admitted that, yeah, we executed the king, but we've just evacuated the rest of the royal family to somewhere else because we wouldn't kill children, would we? Lenin wouldn't sanction the murder of children, would he? Yes.
Just solidifies my political belief and where I stand now. It's just great.
Yeah, all of these people, karma.
Basically identify as not a child murderer.
Yeah.
This is the epitome of but I portrayed you as the soy jack and me as the Chad. No, except you're killing children.
Insane.
You can't emphasize that enough.
Like, we're going to get the grooming gangs posting these in a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, once again, here's a picture of a family. I note that you've used this particular woman to block the really small children in the photo so that people don't notice that. But yes, you murdered a 13-year-old in this, or the
Insane.
Soviets did, the Bolsheviks did. And then we get onto this, which thankfully, happily, you sent to me.
I've seen this story a few times. I can't say if it's true or false. There'll be historians in the comments who can,
Yes,
for sure.
correct us if we get anything wrong here, but this is something that Callum sent to me earlier, which is quite interesting, which just goes through some of the details of what happened to the people who were involved in the murder of the Romanov family. And it really does, reading through this, make it seem like they were cursed as a result of it. The person who was in charge of it even had lots of bad things happen to his own family later down the line. So it really does feel like one of those gypsy curses. You and your entire bloodline, you will never survive what you have done on this fateful day.
Kill a king. That's what happens.
Yeah. It's known that the direct leader of the liquidation of the imperial family was Yankel Kaimovich, better known as Yakov Yurovsky. He lived until 1938 and died of a duodenal ulcer. In Soviet times, they said his son was not responsible for his father's crime, but the apple didn't fall far from the tree in the Yurovsky family. The eldest son, Alexander, ended up in the Bitchirka, is that how you pronounce it?
I don't have it from me.
Prison in 19... It's on the screen. Move your laptop. Thanks. Excellent production. But he ended up in prison in 1952, was released a year later. The daughter, Rima, was also arrested in March 1938. She served a sentence in the Karaganda forced labor camp until 46. Yurovsky's grandchildren were not spared either, dying under mysterious circumstances. 2 died after falling from a roof, while the other 2 were burned to death in a fire. It's worth recalling the blood of Tsar Nicholas II was spilled by Yurovsky himself. He himself recalled, "I fired the first shot and killed Nikolai on the spot." The personality of Pyotr Emarkov was no less significant in the murders of the imperial family. According to his own recollections, it was he who killed the Empress Alexandra Fyodorovna, the cook Ivan, Russian names, every one of them, and their doctor. He often boasted of his crime without feeling any sense of remorse. "I shot the Serena, who was seated only 6 feet away. I could not miss. My bullet hit her right in the mouth. 2 seconds later, she was dead. Then I shot the doctor. He threw up his hands and half turned away," etc. Just describing horrible, awful things that he did. In 1951, and this was the bit that you highlighted to me, at a reception which gathered all of the local party elite in Sverdlovsk, Peter Emerkov approached the Soviet Red Army General George Zhukov and held out his hand. Frowning in disgust, Zhukov looked Ermakov in the eye and muttered, "I do not shake the hands of murderers." So even...
Zhukov is an absolute Chad
Yes.
in Soviet history. So I really hope that's true.
I hope it's true as well, because the most I know of him is how he was portrayed in The Death of Stalin, and he was portrayed as an absolute Chad in that as well.
Yeah, he
So
was.
I hope that that's all true that's going on. I know that The Death of Stalin was somewhat embellished to make it more realistic, because everything that was going on in the Soviet Union was so absurd that the filmmaker said, "No, we've got to tone some of this down a bit because people won't believe it." But I hope that story in particular is true, because it turns out even Soviet Red Army generals have more class than your average Twitter tanky.
But he actually did some good in the world. He took down the Third Reich.
Yeah.
So
Since the 1990s, Ermakov's grave in Ivanovo Cemetery in Ekaterinburg, which is the place where this house was, where they were being held and where they were murdered, has been repeatedly vandalized by local monarchists who regularly douse his gravestone with red paint. Serves you right. And then the same person who tweeted the screenshots from here tweeted this out. I'm not going to play this or play the audio because it's Basket Case by Green Day, and I don't want to get us taken down on YouTube. But this is just a nice little montage of people who were with communist sickles in their flags, in their bios, saying about how why they don't have guns. If you're a communist in America, why don't you own a gun? Well, I'm a convicted felon. What else have we got here? I'm severely mentally ill and would use it on myself. These are the people saying that they would murder your children if they got the chance. I'm more likely to use it on myself. This is one after the other. Every single one of them is either I'm a criminal or I'm too mentally ill to be trusted with one.
There's a pattern there.
Yes. My depressed self would make a very poor decision. Yes. I was put into several involuntary psych wards, and because of that, I'm no longer allowed to legally acquire a gun. Also, I don't have any money. Typical communist response.
I have too many criminal convictions.
Yep. One after the other. I'm either a criminal or mentally ill. This is your average communist on here right now. And just to finish this off, I just wanted to remind everybody of the tragedy that was Mystery Grove Publishing Company. Their Twitter account is down now because they were an actual publishing company who published books, and sadly nobody bought them. So they've decided to go down and take themselves out of business, and they've taken the Twitter account down. But damn it, the legacy still lives on, because this is the truest commie take that has ever existed, which is just a reminder that communism is when ugly, deformed freaks make it illegal to be normal and then rob or kill all successful people out of petty resentment and cruelty. The ideology is all just window dressing. And I think that today's segment has been a nice example of that.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as the premium videos, this one on why ideology is theology. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Getter at lotuseaters_com on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.